Good evening, students. Are you able to hear me?
Good evening, sir.
Just give me a second. So we'll get started. I'm sorry, my device is a bit slow today. I don't know why. Just checking it. So is there any delay in my voice? Please, can you guys please confirm? The response of the device on my side is a bit slow today.
Your voice is clear, sir.
I'm sorry, guys. See, there is some problem with respect to my video. So today I can only share my screen. Okay. First of all, sorry for the delay. Okay, we'll get started. So in yesterday's class, we discussed about what are vectors and what are the different types of vectors and how to represent a vector along with the magnitude of a vector. Then what was the concept we started with? We started with what are the different types of vectors. Am I right? So under this, we studied about equal vectors, then we studied about parallel vectors, then opposite, and at last we saw what are anti-parallel vectors. So tell me one thing, is there any doubt till whatever concept that we have seen?
No, sir.
Everything is clear? So we saw what is co-initial, coplanar and unit vectors as well, right? So we'll go to the next concept, that is the orthogonal unit vectors. So that is a concept we are going to see, orthogonal unit vectors. Okay. See, orthogonal generally means perpendicular. So orthogonal here means perpendicular. So what do we mean by orthogonal unit vectors? So we are talking about the vectors which are perpendicular to each other, along with the point that they should satisfy the condition of being unit vectors as well. Yesterday I told you an important point about unit vectors. What did I say? Unit vectors are used to represent the direction of a given vector. That is, For example, if I have moved, let's say in this particular direction, which is x-axis, right? So let's say I have moved a distance of 5 meters along x-axis. Then if I have to write it as a vector, then how will you write it? You will write a vector, where a vector is nothing but the displacement is 5 units, that is the magnitude is 5. In which direction? In positive x direction. Am I right, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So you write it as positive x direction. So is it possible that every time you can sit and write these many units along a particular direction? Is it possible? So you cannot sit and write a statement like this, right? So that is the reason why the statement is replaced by another vector called as a unit vector. In those unit vectors, the special type of unit vectors that we are going to discuss now are the orthogonal unit vectors, which are going to be the most important one, because going forward, every vector that we are going to write is written only in terms of an orthogonal unit vector. Okay, so the best example for an orthogonal unit vector, or the best system we can think of orthogonal unit vectors, is x-axis, y-axis, and z-axis. Because we know that x and y-axis are perpendicular to each other. Similarly, z-axis also perpendicular to the other two, right? So x, y, and z are said to be mutually perpendicular to each other. Mutually perpendicular to each other. Okay, suppose. Okay, before that, I want to say the unit vectors used to represent x, y, and z direction are I cap, j cap, and k cap respectively. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is, I told you a point here, right? So a vector is equal to 5 in the positive x direction. Now, since you know an extra information, how can you replace that positive x direction with a unit vector? Can you give me an idea for it? I can write it as 5 times
I cap.
Very good. 5 times I cap. So wherever you read something like this with a cap on top of it, along with the magnitude, then the cap will take care of the direction, and the magnitude, the scalar part is obviously going to tell you about the length of that particular vector. Am I clear, guys? In a similar way, so let me take example. Write the vector form of the displacement of an object, moving in negative z direction with a magnitude of 10 units. So you have to write the vector form of a displacement. For the displacement, let's call it as d. Generally, the symbol used for displacement is s. You will learn it. So s with a vector on top of it is equal to, who can tell me the answer?
Minus 10 j cap.
Minus 10 J.
Minus 10
J cap.
z direction.
K cap. K cap.
K cap. Minus,
Okay, I thought y.
okay, minus 10 k cap. This is one way of writing. The more matured way of writing it is 10 times minus k cap. Can someone tell me why did I manipulate and write it like this? It's a simple logic. Can someone tell me why I did this?
Sir, because magnitude can't
because
be
only the
negative.
Perfect, perfect. Because I told you this 10 stands for magnitude. Okay, there'll be a very big misconception if I write it as minus 10 cap, 10k cap. I could have written like this also, but this doesn't make sense. This is wrong. Technically, it is wrong, but this is right. So magnitude cannot be negative, whereas this minus k cap is telling me about the negative z direction. Good that you guys understood. Okay, Now I will slightly complicate it. Okay. Before that, I want to tell you one point. You guys have learned coordinate geometry in your 10th standard, right?
Yes, sir.
So what does coordinate geometry mainly speak about? It mainly speaks about the different points that are there in a two-dimensional plane. Correct? Suppose I want to ask you a question. Suppose I give you a point in the first quadrant as 2, 3. Can someone tell me what is the meaning of this point 2, 3? By looking at it, what do you understand? So if somebody
So the
says there is
point
a
is 2 units far from x-axis and 3 units far from y-axis.
2 units far from. Can you correct your
X-axis.
statement? No. Subrajit, correct your statement. It is 2 units away from.
Y-axis.
Yes. Or you can say origin. Okay, because if you drop a perpendicular, this distance is what is 2. I hope you understood. And this distance is what is 3. So to be more specific, instead of using the axis, you can use a point origin also. So if I drop a perpendicular, the foot of the perpendicular is at a distance of 2 units from the origin, and the foot of the perpendicular means the point where the perpendicular is touching the y-axis or x-axis. Okay. So more technically, it's called as abscissa, and this is called as the ordinate. Right? We will not use all those things. Now comes an important question. Suppose, see, with the hope that you people remember from your lower grades, can someone tell me what is the displacement? What is the meaning of displacement?
Shortest part between two
Shortest
points.
distance.
Shortest path. I don't use the word distance now. Shortest path length is what we call it as the displacement, right? So, I have 3 options to reach point P. If I assume that there is a person standing here, let me say I'm standing here. I have 3 options to reach point B. What are they? I can go from O to A and A to B. This is one of the things. Or I can go from O to C and I can go from C to B. Or directly I can go from O to B. So out of these 3 scenarios, I repeated, out of these 3 scenarios, which one represents the displacement according to your definition?
OB.
OB, right? So what I'm going to do is, see, look at the way I'm connecting the dots. Listen to this very carefully, okay? I took the example of your coordinate geometry into which I'm going to introduce the concept of vectors that you have learned. So if I treat this OB as a vector, can I write it like this, guys? O is the starting point, B is the ending point. I put an arrow mark on the top. I'm very clear that I'm talking about OB vector is equal to, look at the way I'm going to write. How much is the distance I have moved? I'm using the word distance because distance is a length, magnitude. How much is the distance I have moved along the x-axis? From the origin, how much is the distance I moved along x-axis? Listen to the question carefully.
2 units.
I have moved 2 units.
3.
Now I have moved along x-axis. So how do I tell the person who's reading my paper? I cannot sit and write positive x-axis or negative
Okay,
x-axis.
okay.
I will write as 2 with an I, a cap on top of it. Guys, does this make sense? 2 with
Yes,
an
sir.
I cap. Okay. And means plus. How much is the distance I have moved along y direction?
3 units.
3 units in the positive
units.
z direction. So can I write it as 2 I cap plus 3 j cap?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Guys, was there any issue? Was
So
it?
we were not able to hear you.
Okay, okay. Which was the point that got cut? Can you repeat it? So where did we lose the connection?
So you asked us whether we can write it as 2i
Sir, you are
cap
not
plus 3j
presenting.
cap.
I'm not presenting it. Just a minute. I think there is some technical issue. Today there's some weird behavior. Yeah, okay. I'll start from the beginning. OP vector is equal to. Did I say about 2i cap plus 3j cap?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So 2i. So I'm saying I have by looking at this, somebody who sees this will understand that I moved a distance of 2 units along the positive x direction and 3 units along the positive y direction. I hope you guys are able to understand this. Okay, that is one way of looking. Or since you're talking about positive x direction and positive y direction, a combination of positive x and positive y falls under which quadrant? Or B is a point. See, look at the way I'm writing, because O is the origin. B is a point. Okay, I'll come to this later. Okay, I'll come after a concept called as position vector. But as of now, you guys are able to understand this point, this fact, right? If I write 2i cap plus 3j cap, I'm trying to talk about first quadrant. In a similar way, let me say,
Yes.
if I say OA vector is equal to, okay, I'll use some other. Just a minute. May I know who is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Whose name is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
Sir, that my name is Aravind.
Arvind, can you please rename it?
Okay, sir. How to rename, sir?
Okay, I'll tell you after the class, okay? Don't worry.
Okay, sir.
Okay, yeah. So OP vector is written as, let's say, minus 3i cap plus 5k cap. What do you understand from this?
Sir, it is 3 units away in the negative x-axis.
At a distance of 3 units along
X-axis.
negative x-axis and
5 units along z-axis.
along positive z-axis. Okay, use that. So it is in, so I can write it as 3 into minus I cap plus 5 into k cap. Okay, this is all about 2 dimension. Suppose you have a 3-dimensional space, then OP vector can be written like this: 2i cap plus 3j cap plus 5k cap. If I write something like this, see, all these numbers are randomly chosen. Don't try to analyze any relation between the numbers. Randomly written. So 2 units along the positive x direction, 3 units along the positive y direction, and 5 units along the positive z direction. Am I clear, guys? So this is all about the orthogonal unit vectors. If you're clear with this, I'll move on to the next concept.
Yes.
Yes.
That's good. So let's go to the next. Which one? What is the number? 8. The 9th one is called as position vector. Okay. So as the name suggests, so this is a vector which is used to locate the position of an object. Here I'm using the word object because we are trying to talk in terms of physics. Okay. So actually, to give you an introduction, all this falls under the basics of mathematics, which is called as vector algebra. Okay. So this thing you will learn in your 12th standard math also. So having all these things in mind, so position vector is going to put it in simple terms, position vector is going to tell you about the position of a vector. Okay, position of a point in the vector form. So how to do it? Listen. So let me take the same example, 2, 3. If I have to speak about the position of this object, I am trying to speak about the position of object with reference to which point? What is the reference point I'm taking?
Origin.
So if I take the origin as the reference point, with respect to the origin, I'm concerned about where this point P is. So if I have to write it in the form of a position vector, then what I need to do is take the point O and join it to point P. Then OP vector is called position vector of point P with respect to origin. Okay. So here I'm using the word position vector, right? To be more specific, this is the way I'm going to define. Position vectors are the vectors whose initial point is origin. So going forward, if I ask you what is the position vector of a given point, then the starting point by default is going to be origin. Okay. I hope this point is clear. Yes, guys?
Sir,
So
could you please repeat
always,
it?
Which one? Huh? Which one you want me to repeat? Did my voice break?
always
About the initial point, which is origin.
Yeah. Position vectors are the vectors. That's the definition. The vectors whose initial point is origin are called as position vectors. That's it. See, for example, to the same point P, I can draw a vector like this also. Okay. Let me say this point is Q. Can I call QP vector as position vector?
No, sir.
No, because when you write it as QP vector, no, Q stands for the starting point. If the starting point is anything other than origin, you cannot call it as a position vector. By default, what happens is O is only used for origin. So most of the times you write O with the next point with the vector symbol on top of it always represents a position vector. To be more simple, if the initial point is origin, then by default you can call it as a position vector. I hope it is clear.
yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good. Okay. So that is all about the introduction of the types of vectors. Okay. The next is we are going to discuss about the different operations that can be performed between vectors. So here, let me talk about addition of vectors. Okay. So if I have a vector like this, A vector is equal to I cap plus 3j cap plus k cap, and I have B vector is equal to minus I cap plus j cap, something like this, guys. Okay. If I ask you what is A vector plus B vector, what will you say? There's nothing but you just write those vectors. I cap plus 3j cap plus k cap plus minus I cap plus j cap. So what you need to do is you need to add the coefficients of I cap first. So what is the coefficient of I cap here? The first case it is 1, here it is -1. So you will get 0 times I cap plus add the coefficients of j cap. You will get 4 times j cap and add the coefficients of k cap. You are going to get a k cap. Did you guys understand? So what I did here is a basic addition principle. The only difference is you would have learned something like this in your linear systems, linear equations in two variables. 5x plus 3y is equal to 2, 3x minus 2y is equal to 5. If I ask you to add both these linear equations, you will add the coefficients of x separately, y separately, and the constant separately. I did the same thing here. So this is a very, very basic thing, addition of vectors. Next is subtraction of vectors.
Sir,
Yeah, tell me.
sir, does 0 I cap has any value?
No. It doesn't have. I just wrote it. So the final answer here is going to be 4j cap plus k cap. That's it. I'll explain the significance of what we have done later. Okay. All these additions have some significance, which I'll tell you slowly as time progresses. Okay. So subtraction of vectors is simple. Let me take the same two vectors. If I ask you what is A vector minus B vector, A vector is I cap plus 3j cap plus k cap plus minus I cap plus j cap. So what am I going to get? Oh, sorry. Minus of this thing. So I cap plus 3j cap plus k cap, minus of minus is plus I cap, minus into plus is minus, so minus j cap. So what am I going to get? 2I cap plus 2j cap plus k cap. So this is what is A vector minus B vector. The next two operations that are there are multiplication and division, right? So next is multiplication of vectors will be taught later. That is going to be the end of this chapter. The reason why I'm saying multiplication of vectors is the end of chapter is because if I give you two numbers like this in the scalar form, you can multiply it, right? So 2 into 3 is 6. Similarly, 2 into minus 3, you're going to write it as minus 6. If I give you numbers like this, you can do. But if I give you two vectors like this, I cap plus j cap, and B vector is equal to I cap minus j cap, A into B is always a question mark, because multiplication of vectors are basically divided into two types. One is called as dot product, and the second is called as cross product, which will be dealt at the end of this chapter. Okay, that is the reason why I told I'll teach it later. And the last part that is there is division of vectors. That is, it doesn't exist. Means you can never divide two vectors. It doesn't exist. That kind of a mathematical operation is not possible at all. So to put it in simple terms, if two vectors are given, what are all the operations you can do between them? You can either add them, or you can subtract them, or multiply them. When it comes to multiplication, there are two specific cases of multiplication. One is called as dot product, and the second is called as the cross product. Okay, what they are, we will see at the end. Am I clear till this point? Is there any doubt? Is there any confusion or any doubt you want to ask?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, I'm proceeding next. Listen. Next, I'm going to speak about some laws of vector. If you recollect, yesterday we discussed one important point. I asked you a question also, right? When you people told me the definition of vectors, I asked you an important question. What is it? Current. Electric current is there, no? It has magnitude and direction, but still it cannot be called as a vector. And you guys told me one reason. What is it? Because it does not follow
Vector laws of addition.
the addition of vectors in the mathematical form. That is, when general variables, like a general form of the vector is given to you, how are you going to add them? By taking the coordinates into consideration. So what do I mean by general form of vector is, see, any vector can be written in terms of its orthogonal unit vectors, right? So if any vector is given in the form of orthogonal unit vectors, you call it as general form. Sometimes what will happen, they will not give you I cap, j cap, k cap and all. Nothing will be given. You will just be given the name of the vector. Name of the vector in the sense A vector, B vector, C vector. These are the names. If those kind of things are given and certain scenarios are defined, how are you going to apply the laws of vectors is what we are going to see. Okay. So under the laws of vectors, there are two important laws that we are going to discuss. One is called as triangle law of addition and parallelogram law of vectors. Okay, so first we are going to start with triangle law of addition. In simple terms, as the name suggests, it is addition of vectors only, but there is a reason why we are calling it as triangle, because the vectors all put together will take the shape of a triangle. Okay, so let me explain what it means. If two vectors, please write down the statement for it. It's very, very important, because you'll be applying it in almost 15 to 20 chapters throughout your physics for 11th and 12th. Okay, so if that's why, write it down. If two vectors are represented in magnitude and direction by. If two vectors are represented in magnitude and direction by the two adjacent sides of a triangle taken in order, please underline this term, in order, then the resultant of these two vectors is given by the closing side of the triangle, by the closing side of the triangle taken in the reverse order. Taken in the reverse order. Okay. This is the whole story. Again, here you need to underline this term, reverse order. Okay. See, statement appears to be very big, but it is a very, very simple law. So let me know once you have written it. Finished, sir?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So what I'm trying to say here is, so basically for a triangle to be formed, how many vectors do I need? Logic is very simple. I need 3. So out of those 3, first let me take any 2. This is 1. Okay. This is one vector. This is another vector. Okay. If I call the first vector as A, the second vector as B, A vector and B vector are said to be in order. Okay. By the way, did you guys understand what do I mean by in order?
Yes, sir.
What is it?
Sir, the tails and heads shouldn't meet.
Shouldn't meet.
Sir, the final point of one vector should be the starting point.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Very good. So when I say in order, I'm trying to say head of the first vector should coincide with
Tail of the second.
Yes,
The tail of the
tail of the second vector. If this happens, then you can use the word in order. Then what does the statement say? Then the resultant is the closing side of the triangle taken in the. So when I take the closing side to be like this, where am I supposed to put the arrow mark? Do I need to put it at the end of B vector or at the starting of A vector?
End of B vector.
Starting of A vector.
End of B vector.
So actually you're supposed to put it at the end of B vector because this is what is called as reverse order. You know what would have been the order? A vector is like this, B vector is like this. No. If C vector was like this, we say all the 3 vectors are in order. Because observe, no, if it exactly match with the statement that I gave you guys.
understood.
In this diagram, A vector and B vector are in order, but B vector and the so-called C vector are in reverse order. Similarly, A vector and C vector are also in reverse order. So reverse order means the tails and the heads should coincide. Okay, if that is the case, I want to extend the statement. Closing side of the triangle taken in reverse order, which is equal to the sum of the vectors taken in order. It is equal to sum of the vectors taken in order. Clear, guys? Okay. Now, what does the statement say? C vector is equal to A vector plus B vector. So I want to do a testing and analyze whether is it really true. Okay, I want to do a testing and understand. We will do a small testing process from the concept which we have already seen. Let's revisit the concept of the 2 and 3. I've taken the coordinate system. Its point is 2, 3. Dropping a perpendicular. This point is A. This point is B, and let me call this point as P. Okay, this is O. Now observe. Can I say O to A or OA vector is how much? According to the concept of orthogonal unit vectors, how much is the distance OA, guys? Is it not 2? Right. OA vector is nothing but
Yes, sir.
2i cap. Correct?
2i cap.
Similarly, listen to this carefully, okay? I'm going to tell you some critical points. OB vector is what?
Three j cap.
J cap.
That's right. Okay. So if you observe OA vector and OP vector, what kind of a vectors are they from the definitions that we know? They both have the same
Position
Initial
vectors.
point.
initial point. They're very good. Somebody told position vectors. First is their position vectors. Secondly, they are same initial point. So they are co-initial vectors. Accepted from yesterday's discussion. They are
Yes,
called as
Yes.
co-initial vectors. Now I have the very first type of vector that we saw yesterday was called as equal vector. What does an equal vector mean, guys? What does
So
an equal
magnitude
magnitude
and
is
same
equal and
direction.
the
Same
direction is
direction.
same.
direction? Correct? So what I'm doing is I'm copying it. Okay. Listen. So if I draw a vector like this, then this vector is called as AP vector. This vector is called as OB vector. Now, using the concept of types of vectors, tell me what is the relation between OB vector and AP vector? Can I say,
Parallel vectors.
are they parallel or equal? It forms a rectangle, no? So can I say OB vector is equal to AP vector? Guys, accepted?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, because they have the same
Yes, sir.
magnitude and same direction. That's what you people told me. So if OB vector is 3j cap, AP vector is also 3j cap. So can I write this as 3j cap, guys? Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take a separate diagram of this. If I take this down, okay, then what is the name of this vector? What is the name of this vector? OA, which is having a value of 2i cap. If I bring this AP vector down, then what is this, guys? Is this 3j cap? Any confusion till this point? Clear?
No, sir.
Everything is clear, right? Now I have an important question to ask. Now, what law can I apply to find out what is OP vector? Now, my interest of study is what is OP vector? What is OP vector now, guys? OP vector, according to the triangle of addition, is nothing but the sum of the two vectors which are taken in order. OA vector plus AP vector. But what is OA vector? It's 2i cap and AP vector is 3j cap. Now, did you guys understand why I wrote the 2, 3 as 2i cap plus 3j cap? Because I applied the concept of triangle of addition there. At that point, I didn't say that's it. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Right? So please make a note of this point. Please make a note of this point. I hope you're done.
Just a minute, sir.
Yeah, please. This is according to triangle law of addition, TLA. Don't write in the exam as TLA, okay? This is for your understanding. In the exam, you should write it as triangle of addition only. Clear, guys? Next. The next law that we are going to see is parallelogram law of vectors. Okay. So write down the statement for it. If two vectors, or I will make it more specific, if two co-initial vectors, are represented in magnitude and direction by two adjacent sides of a parallelogram, then the resultant is given by the diagonal passing through the common tail of the given vectors. Given by the diagonal comma passing through the common tail of the two given vectors. Okay, let me explain this with a diagram. So what do you mean by co-initial vectors? They have the same starting point. So initially, how many vectors are given, guys? So if I call this as A vector and if I call this as B vector, okay, let me call this as A, B, and let me call this as C. Can I call them as co-initial vectors? Yes. Let's read the statement carefully. If two co-initial vectors are represented in magnitude and direction by the two adjacent sides of a parallelogram, then the resultant is given by the diagonal passing through the common tail. So this point is called as the common tail. This is also accepted. So I need to draw a vector which is starting from this common tail and acting as a diagonal to some parallelogram. But this is where the logic is getting hit. So what are the minimum number of sides that are required for a parallelogram?
4.
You need 4, right? But I have only 2 vectors. Then how do I actually generate a parallelogram? That's an important question that we need to ask. So that is possible. You draw a vector which is exactly parallel to AB vector and of equal length of AB vector. Okay. Let me say it is ending at point D. And similarly, from B, I need to draw a vector which is parallel to AC vector. So that what is the relation between CD vector and AB vector? Can I say CD vector is equal to AB vector? Because they are
Yes, sir. Parallelogram.
they are equal. They are equal vectors, not parallel. They are equal. Special case of a parallel vectors. Similarly, AC vector is equal to BD vector because they are also equal vectors. Now what we have done is, though they have given us only 2 vectors, we have actually made the construction using the concept of equal vectors that we know, so that we completed a parallelogram. I hope you guys have concentrated on how I'm drawing the arrow marks also. Right? It is CD vector and AC vector. Then if I take the diagonal of this parallelogram, then this is going to give us the resultant. Now tell me one thing, guys. If I break it into 2 parts, that is, if I take this as AB vector, this as BD vector, then this as AD vector. Similarly, I'll tell you what I did. This point is ABD. This point is ACD. Can someone explain what exactly did I do? I actually broke this parallelogram into 2 equal half triangles, like how you cut a sandwich, right, into 2 equal parts. That's what I did. If I do that, what am I getting? The lower part is giving me a triangle. The upper part is also giving me a triangle. Now let me analyze the lower part. What can I say about AB vector and BD vector, guys? Are they taken in order or are they in the reverse order?
They are
In
in
order.
order.
In order, sir.
They are in order, right? Whereas AD vector is in the reverse
Reverse
order.
order.
Correct? That is with respect to the lower triangle. What about the upper triangle? AC vector and CD vector are taken in order. Then C vector is in the reverse order. If you observe, if I apply triangle of inequality to in both the cases, can I write AB vector plus BD vector is the same as AD vector? Right?
Yes, sir.
Can I write AC vector plus CD vector is equal to AD vector? If you observe, in both the cases, the right hand side, the resultant is AD vector, and this AD vector with respect to the parallelogram is nothing but the diagonal of the parallelogram by doing the construction. Now, are you guys in terms with me to accept that parallelogram law of vectors is nothing but an other way of looking at the triangle of vectors?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Right?
sir.
So it's just another way. That is why, see, this is a point which many of them fail to understand. Okay. They don't look at it in this way. So I'm repeating it again. Wherever a question comes, no, you don't ask a question whether I need to apply triangle law of addition or parallelogram law of addition, because they both technically mean the same in different ways of representing. That's it. That is the only thing you need to have in your mind. That's it. Sharia. Now, what we are going to do with this is, you can ask me, sir, we have seen two laws. The important question here is there any mathematical relation that is going to tell us, or where we can find out what is going to be the length of that particular resultant? Okay, that's what we are going to do. Concentrate, guys. Finding the length of resultant of a resultant of parallelogram. Resultant of parallelogram vectors. Indirectly, I can say triangle of vectors also. How to apply it, I'll teach you slowly. Okay. So I'm directly taking the sides, guys. Okay. This is AB. If I take this as CD, let me say the angle between AB vector and AC vector is theta. AB vector and AC vector, I call it as theta. Now, if I draw this, then I will call it as R vector. And let me call AB vector as A vector and AC vector as B vector. So A vector and B vector will be initially given. Then what can I say about BD vector? That is also B vector. Now comes an important question. I have an angle involved. I know the length of AB, I know the length of AC. Now my job is to find the length of AD. So I have an angle. How do I do it? For that, one logic that you need to always have in mind is, wherever length and angles are involved, it is always advisable to use trigonometry. And second thing is, wherever you need to apply trigonometry, you need to have a right angle triangle. For that, what I did is, I extended AB, I dropped the perpendicular from D onto the extension of AB. And let me call this point as E. Suppose this angle is theta, then what will this angle be, guys?
Theta.
It is theta. Right. Now I am able to find the, how many right angle triangles are you able to find?
2.
I am able to find two right angle triangles, where one of the right angle triangles I will be using to find the distances, and the other one I will use to find the length of R. It is very simple. Okay. If I take the magnitudes alone, see, I wrote B vector because I put an arrow mark here. If I take out that arrow mark, what can I say its length is? Can I call it as B, guys? If I take this as theta,
Yes, sir.
then BE divided by BD is going to give you what?
Cos theta.
It is cos theta, adjacent divided by hypotenuse. Similarly, DE divided by BD is going to give you sin theta. What is BE?
Sin theta.
Then BE, can I write it as BD cos theta? But BD is nothing but B. Can I write it as B cos theta? Similarly, can I write DE is equal to B sin theta? B cos theta, B sin theta. So this is B cos theta and B sin theta. Guys, any doubt in this? I hope you guys are writing along with me. Right? It is not at over, guys. Because what is our job? Our job is to find the value of R, not to find the value of B and B, which are not even a part of the question. Right? Logically, they are not part, because I extended and constructed a right angle triangle. Okay? Now,
Sir?
I think there was a disconnection, right? Which point did we miss, guys? So where did we miss? Okay, okay. I think the connection got lost. Now are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So there are two right angle triangles, you people told me. So out of which one of the right angle triangles I used to apply trigonometry and find the distances. But since I told you our job is to find the length of R, using the other right angle triangle, there are two important things, guys. Whenever you see a right angle triangle, one is trigonometry. And there is another important theorem that keeps coming to our mind whenever you think of right angle triangle. What is it?
Pythagoras theorem.
If you think of the Pythagoras,
Pythagoras.
yes, if you apply the Pythagoras theorem, you are going to get the value of the resultant of AD. But what is AE, guys? AE is nothing but A plus B cos theta, and DE is nothing but B sin theta. Correct, Ada? It is B sin theta. I hope everybody understood why it is A plus B cos theta. A plus B cos theta. Correct? Now, what is
Yes.
the relation between all the sides? AD square is equal to AE square plus DE square. So what is AD square? R square is equal to AE is nothing but A plus B cos theta the whole square plus DE is nothing but B sin theta the whole square. So this is going to be A square plus B square cos square theta plus 2 times AB cos theta plus B square sin square theta. Sharia? So this is going to be, I will combine B square cos square theta and B square sin square theta. It is going to be A square plus B square into cos square theta plus sin square theta plus 2 times AB cos theta. Now what is going to be the answer? A square plus B square plus 2AB cos theta is the value of R square. Hence, the magnitude of R is going to be root of A square plus B square plus 2AB cos theta. It is a very, very, very famous formula and an important one. More than importance, no, it is a famous one. You will be applying to find the magnitude of resultant. Okay. So I did some simple math to derive this equation. It's very easy. And along with this, the derivation is also important, guys. Derivation is also important. So practice, if they ask in your exam, you should be in a position to write.
Sir, so
Am I clear with-
basically
Tell me.
for triangle of addition also, it will be the same formula, right?
It is the same.
Okay.
It is the same. Remind me tomorrow. It's a very good question. Okay, remind me tomorrow. I'm going to start with that only. But there is one more point also which I need to say. Due to time constraint, I'm not saying. What I'll do is tomorrow, please remind me this question. I'll explain it. How they
Okay.
both. Okay. Then we will do some problems, guys. Major part of the chapter is over. So after this, we'll be concentrating on the multiplication of vectors. So maximum, if possible, we should be done by within 2 classes. That's it. Okay. So with the hope that you guys have copied it, shall we wind up? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll see what tomorrow. Verify my camera issue also. Sorry for that. Okay, I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.